Shri Radha.
How do I set that? Kiva Jaya. Kiva Jaya Jaya Gora Chande Aratika Shobha. Janavi Tatavane Jagat Manalova. Jaya Jaya Gora Chande Aratika Shobha. Janavi Tatavane Jagat Manalova. Dakine Nitai Chan Pame Gatadara. Dakine Nitai Chan Pame Gatadara. Nekateya Dvaita Shrini Vasa Chatradara. Nekateya Dvaita Shrini Vasa Chatradara. Vasi Ache Gora Chan Ratna Simhasane. Vasi Ache Gora Chan Ratna Simhasane. Arati Korena Brahma Adi Devagane. Brahma Adi Devagana Narahari Adikori Chamaraduraya Narahari Adikori Chamaraduraya Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Goshadigaya Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Goshadigaya Sankha Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Bhaje Karatara Sankha Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Bhaje Karatala Madhurya Mridanga Bhaje Paramarasala Madhurya Mridanga Bhaje Paramarasala Sankha Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Madhur 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 Bhaje Sankha Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Madhur 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 Bhaje Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo Bahu Koti Chandrajini Vadana Ujvala Bahu Koti Chandrajini Vadana Ujvala Kala Deshe Vana Mala Kore Jalamala Kore Bhaktivedanta Kore Jalamala Shiva Sukha Narada Preme Gadadara Shiva Sukha Narada Preme Gadadara Bhaktivedanta Deke Gorara Sampada Bhaktivedanta Deke Gorara Sampada Kiva Jayo Jayo Gora Chande Arotiko Shobha Jayo Jayo Gora Chande Arotiko Shobha Janavitatavane Jagamanaloba Janavitatavane Jagamanaloba Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare I don't know what to sing.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
This song. Same with that.
Hare Krishna
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Givaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Givaradari Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Jana Ranjana Amunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Givaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Givaradari Jaya Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Givaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Givaradari Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Gokul Nanda ki, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Gauranitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Oh, Bhamanande. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Bhagavad Gita chapter 5 verse 13. So let me read. Sarva karmani manasya sanyasyate sukham vashi navadrare purdehi neva kurvanna karyayan sarva karmani manasa sanyasyate sukham vashi navadvare purdehi naiva kurvanna karayan navakaryan kurvayan sarvakamani manasa sanyasyate sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi neva kurvana karyan sarvakamani manasya sanyasyate sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi neva kurvana karvan. Sarva karmani activities, manasa by the mind, sannyasa giving up, aste remains, sukham in happiness, vashi one who is controlled, navadvare in the place where there are 9 gates, pure in the city, dehi the embodied soul, na never, eva certainly, kurvan doing anything, na not, karayan causing to be done. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all the all the actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, the material body neither working nor causing work to be done. The embodied soul lives in the city of 9 gates. The activities of the body or the figurative city of body are conducted automatically by particular modes of nature. The soul, although subjecting himself to the conditions of the body, can be beyond those conditions, if he so desires. Owing only to forgetfulness of his superior nature, he identifies with the material body and therefore suffers. By Krishna consciousness, he can revive his real position and thus come out of his embodiment. Therefore, when one takes to Krishna consciousness, one at once becomes completely aloof from bodily activities. In such controlled life, in which his deliberations are changed. He lives happily within the city of 9 gates. The 9 gates are mentioned as follows. Navadvad pure dehi, hamso lelayate bahi, vasi sarvasya lokasaya, stara varasya karasya cha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is living within the body of living entity, is the controller of all living entities all over the universe. The body consists of 9 gates, 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, 1 mouth, the anus and the genitals. The living entity in his conditioned stage identifies himself with the body, but when he identifies himself with the Lord within himself, he becomes just as free as the Lord, even while in the body. Therefore, Krishna consciousness person is free from both outer and inner activities of the material body. Omegyantamidandasya gyananjana shalakaya chakshurum militam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya manobishtam stapitam yena bhutale swayam rupa kadamayam dadati svapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalan Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghutam Vitam Tam Sajiva Sadvedam Savadudam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Dade Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutadevi Panamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, Hare Krishna. I'd first of all like to ask for the blessings of all the Vaishnava watching online and in the temple. Thank you to the seniors for allowing me to speak and for this opportunity. I pray I can say something which is relevant, substantial, and allows one to progress in their spiritual life. So let's begin. So let me read the translation again. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. So when one controls his nature and mentally renounces, he resides happily in his body, and therefore he is able to control his senses. So let's start with nature. So I'm the type of person to always, have so many interests. There's a saying, I don't know if it's a British saying necessarily, but they say, "Jack of all trades, master of none." And this kind of describes me. For many years, I knew this, that I was a jack of all trades, and I always try to break this kind of cycle of being the jack of all trades. I just wanted to have something, one singular thing that I was kind of interested and solely interested, and that I really love doing. And I used to always, hop around from different interest to another interest when I felt inspired. I feel like a lot of people nowadays have the same, because there's so many different paths, that one can go on. So a lot of the time, I would become fairly good at something, and then I would just kind of lose interest in it. And this was kind of like a search for passion, a real passion. But then when I came to the manor in January, and once you start doing many different types of services, I still started to feel like my nature is that I can do many things. They may not always be perfect, but they're the best to my ability. Best of my ability. However, this means my nature can lead me to do many things which are Krishna conscious. So in a way, if you're able to control your nature in one way or another, then it becomes a benefit to you, because you're not just good at it, but you feel passionate about it. I've learned that a Vaishnava is also a master of everything. I may do many services throughout the day, and it keeps me engaged. But a Vaishnava, he transcends, or she transcends all four Varanas. So in the mornings, just as an example, in the mornings I may do something like Pujari service, like a Mangal transfer, breakfast transfer, or something like that. And this is Brahminical. It's definitely of the Brahminical nature. Then I may be on the farm, all day doing my service, my full-time service, and this is more of a Vaishya trait. And then I may need to do some ashram cleaning, for example. This is more geared towards Sudras. Then I may, in the afternoons, I may manage a project that I have been doing for the last couple of weeks or couple of months. And this is of Kshatriya nature. So the point here is that we take our nature and we make it Krishna conscious, and this helps control our nature. But as a Vaishnava, it does not matter what job we do, whatever we do it to the best of our ability. And when we do so, we become an expert at it, because we're doing it for Krishna, and we're not doing it for our own gain. So, like I said, if one takes their nature and instead of using it for sense gratification, which is obviously in the wrong way, then they may be, they may not be happy, especially as it mentions in the purport, they won't be happy in the city of 9 gates. So the city of 9 gates, I'll just do a small recap on what these features are. So you've got 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, 1 mouth, the anus, and the genitals. So this basically obviously means the material body. What's interesting is, these are the main senses one has, or the main features of the body. These are the important parts of your material body. One way or another, we need to be able to use this material body in a Krishna conscious way. So I want to take a few examples from Shastra. One thing that came to mind when I was thinking about this verse was this story of, it's not. I mean, it's not really an in-depth story, but just taking the essence of it. Dhritarashtra, he knew his sons were making a mistake in trying to get rid of the Pandavas, but by his nature, he was blind. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, verse 2, Dhritarashtra, in the purport, it says, Dhritarashtra was blind from birth. Unfortunately, he was also bereaved of spiritual vision. Hence, he knew very well that his sons were equally blind in the matter of religion. And he was sure that they could never reach an understanding with the Pandavas, who are all pious since birth. So Prabhupada is showing that by nature, he wasn't just physically blind, but was also spiritually blind. The mood of Dhritarashtra was that he knew the Kurus were making mistake, but by nature he couldn't help it. This is just the way he is. In the same way, sometimes we know we're doing something wrong, but we do it anyway, because it's our nature. And Dhritarashtra had this mood. There's so many examples of in Shastra of these personalities who know that they're doing something wrong, but they have to just carry on with it, because it's at the same time it's Krishna's arrangement when they're doing these things wrong, so they can't really help it. And in Bhagavad Gita, so this is moving on to my second example. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, in the beginning, he's bewildered. But by birth, all of the Pandavas, they have some sort of piety. They're born from demigods. So by nature, Arjuna is spiritually inclined. It is said, everything in Bhagavad Gita, which Krishna teaches, Arjuna actually already knows. But he's kind of in a bewildered state, so he's forgotten it all. So Krishna, arranges this, in a way that the Bhagavad Gita can be spoken for our benefit. So by nature, actually, Arjuna is spiritually inclined, but for someone like Duryodhana, in that position, he wouldn't have the vision. Throughout Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, he never has that vision. But in the end, Krishna reminds him and shows him, speaking of Arjuna, Krishna reminds Arjuna and shows him how he can fight, but still doing it for Krishna. The comparison here is that, Krishna and Balaram both have spoken to the Kurus, and they still didn't listen. But Arjuna, he was always able to listen to Krishna. And then the harder bit of this is actually applying what exactly his So what I'm trying to say is it's very difficult to practically apply the knowledge that we're given. So, like in many pastimes, we see that especially in Srimad Bhagavatam, there's always personalities who take on so much information from different sources. Like the sage of Namasharanya, for example. But the important part is that again they're able to apply this knowledge. Anyway, moving on from that. The second part I wanted to speak on is, in the translation it speaks of mentally renouncing. So Krishna says, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasyad atma chetasas narashe nirmamo bhutava yuyachava vigate jarva. Translation: Therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me with full knowledge of me, without desires of profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight. So he tells Arjuna, surrender unto me. But what does surrender really look like physically? You can pay your respects to Guru or Krishna, but you can't physically always see surrender. You have to be surrendered to see others that have surrendered. But like on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna, when he decides to fight, he starts to wipe out the Kuru army. And if one is not spiritually inclined, then they may have seen Arjuna doing this and think he's not really spiritually inclined, but he's actually violent. But one who is spiritual knows he's doing this for Krishna. There are more things that can be said about this, but the point here is internally we can have this mood, and our actions can express another. So many times we see people, especially like celebrities, in public, they have a smile on their face, they look happy, and then we may hear they may be addicted to certain intoxicants, they may commit suicide, and we really think how is this? But their internal mood doesn't match their external. Anyone can kind of have a covering on their face that says one thing, but internally they're different. So internally, as spiritualists, it must be renunciation. We must be detached from this material existence to become liberated. So I found this really interesting. There's a paragraph from Krishna book which describes how one can become detached, which leads to renunciation. So I'll just read it. The result of perfect knowledge is that one becomes detached from the materialistic way of life. This detachment means complete control of the senses, which are always attracted by material enjoyment. The senses of the devotee become purified, and in that stage the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord. This is the complete field of devotional service. So if one wants to renounce, then this does not mean going to the forest. It just means one can perform all actions for Krishna. When I was thinking about this, there's the book called Easy Journey to Other Planets. And I record this kind of paragraph from that book. There is no need for a devotee to cultivate materialistic knowledge, nor does a devotee need to renounce everything and live as a hermit. He can simply remain at home and execute devotional service smoothly in any order of life. So it doesn't matter which ashram, which varna you class yourself in. One just has to dovetail their activities for Krishna. And this is what Bhagavad Gita is describing. The whole section of Karma Yoga is about action. Then Jnana Yoga is all about knowledge. And then obviously Bhakti Yoga is about, pure love of Krishna and devotional service for Krishna. So, especially Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga, these are essentially ways we can elevate slowly in Krishna consciousness to become consistent. And then, that then puts us in the right state of mind when we're practicing our bhakti. So, if you're a brahmachari and you do your services for Krishna, one may say physically, we're here at the temple, able to serve Radha Gokulananda daily, and but it's very difficult. You may be, I recall myself doing Pujari service, and my mind is completely elsewhere. Especially when we're doing breakfast transfer. It's getting to that time. We've been up since 3 a.m. or 3:30, something like that, and it's been a long morning, and we're doing Pujari service, and all of a sudden your stomach starts to rumble, and you just can't help but just think of prasadam rather than actually concentrating properly on your service. I mean, it's very difficult to control our senses, but the point being is, we need to, as a brahmachari, we should endeavor. And even for grihastha, your internal renunciation could be working for Krishna in any shape or form. As described previously, I believe in chapter 3, you can give some of your paycheck to Krishna, become a nishkama karma yogi, so work with no attachment and no fruits. And this is all, gradual. Nothing happens overnight. We need to be steady in our practice. And Krishna is giving us the tools in Bhagavad Gita to actually come to the stage of pure love in devotional service. Anyway, so if one controls his nature and does it for Krishna, and if one renounces internally their work or action, they are then in control of their material body, and essentially they become spiritualized. Hence, one will then be happily situated. So this is the ideal. It's of course easier said than done, but like I said, the whole of Bhagavad Gita is there. Srila Prabhupada has given us even easier the process of achieving this. We just chant 16 rounds and follow the 4 regulative principles, and then the rest comes with that naturally. So, as I always add one point at the end, if one doesn't take anything from this class, then the main thing that you can take is, if one is in control of his nature and understands what his nature is, first then this is a stepping stone to happiness. Engaging one's ability for Krishna makes the process a lot easier and smoother. So engage your talents in the service of Krishna. That's all we have to do. Thank you very much, and Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yeah. So yeah, that's really nice.
You're working with nature.
Yeah, there's such a big difference. I feel like I feel different from this book. And it's funny, like even some devotees, they were going through such a hard time, and I was just come and do service at the farm, and after that, everything just changes.
You calm down when you're in touch with Bhumi, Mother Earth.
Yeah, so anytime someone's stressed, I just come to the farm.
When you're with cows or when you're with the nature, with farming and things like that.
Yeah.
But, all the anxiety with all the, concrete jungle and the technology and all the material way of life, people are gone away from nature.
Yeah.
And they've got more facilities than they've ever had before, but they're more stressed and more disturbed than they've ever been.
Yeah. I mean, they've got more